Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time you are watching this. Welcome back to episode 24 of the Since I Was Young podcast for all things Heart of Midlothian news, chat, and debate, not Motherwell FC. Just to make that abundantly clear, I'll put a bit of context in a wee bit about that, but aye, all about Hearts. So all you Motherwell fans, you can just calm down. It's all good. It's no about you. So we're all good there. So yes, as always, you are joined by myself, Ewan and Alan. Today's agenda, obviously we've got a bit of news to bring you in our usual news segment with Alan. And of course as well, we'll dive and we'll dissect as well the game on Saturday, which was another beautiful win for the Mighty Hearts, who faced Motherwell at Tynecastle 3 o'clock kickoff, which ended in a 2-0 victory, which puts us a point adrift of the league champions Rangers as we go into the international break. So, Alan, my man, how are you doing? So, you all right, yeah?
Oh mate, I'm delighted.
You've still not
Booming.
wiped the smile from that face, have you? Yeah.
Nope, and it'll take some time. It's just the perfect time. The international break coming around. Yeah, it's just nice. It's nice to see us top of the table for a day at least.
Aye,
But
exactly. It was lovely.
yeah,
It's all good there. But aye. So yeah, before we get into the news segment, just to get a bit of context on that? Was it the previous statement that I made? A couple of Motherwell fans got so upset and rattled for the fact that we have named our podcast Since I Was Young, and apparently they were the first ones to ever sing that song. And oh, mate, like I was shiting myself. Like literally, I was sitting in my house contemplating to phone work and say, can he come in? Like honestly, all these fans are just like getting at me, honestly. So we had a bit of complaints about that, but in a bit of a serious note, again, like it got to the point as well, like like it wasn't myself, but like Alan here, like it got to the point where it was getting a bit was it personal and a bit abusive as well, which look like come on, it was something so trivial and so stupid to get
yeah,
upset about, like what I mean. And I'll draw the line when it starts to get was it personal, abusive, constant fucking this and that. Just fucking pipe down and
yeah.
get to fuck, honestly.
Yeah, no, exactly. Just to round it off, I put a thing on Twitter about it after the game on Saturday. Yeah, it was totally needless. Like I see where they're coming from. They were apparently the ones that sang it first. If you're going to be petty about it, but
And
it's a
what?
football song. It's sung from terraces. Get over yourselves. As I say, they obviously stumbled across us on social medias in the build up to the game. But as I said on Saturday evening, I hope they enjoyed their day because I certainly did. So yeah, we'll just draw a line under that. And if anybody has an issue with the name of a podcast, you need to give yourselves a shake and get on with your life. To be
Absolutely.
honest.
And yeah, and I will actually round things off as well to give a shout out to the this is my audio podcast as well, because right after the result as well, I'm gonna actually read this tweet out. We may have one, but let's all remember Motherwell were the first to sing Since I Was Young. And I think we all know who today's the winners are. So lads, the much love, much love. Thank you very much. So yes, as always, before we get into the news segment, as always, if you are a Hearts fan and if you are a fan of the Since I Was Young the podcast as well, please think about subscribing, smash that like button as well. As always, guys, it is always appreciated as well. And if you want to catch us on all the social medias, you can on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, all at SIWY Pod. If you want to get in contact with us through our email as well, you can, since I was young, 1874@gmail.com. And if you want to get in contact as well with either myself or Alan, our Twitter links as well will be in the description for you there. So, Alan, as we get into the news segment, got a wee few bits and bobs to talk about. First one off is our reliable wingback, the Michael Smith. You have a wee update on an injury that he had, and which now concerns his international duties as well.
Yeah, so he's been carrying a knock for the last few games. Robbie mentioned it after the Hibs game, I think it was, or even after that, that he'd been carrying a wee knock. He'd been rested already this season by us. Yeah, it's one of those. It's probably a very, well, we hope, fingers crossed, it's a minor thing. But I have to be honest, like, I was at the game on Saturday and there was a moment with about half an hour to go when he's feeling the back of his leg, and I'm thinking, oh no, here we go. But he it was almost like he like stretched a little bit. I think he was trying to keep a ball in or clear a ball, one of the two, and he stretched and he was kind of limping a little bit, and I thought, oh no, that's it. But yeah, so it seems as if he's taken the decision to withdraw from the Northern Ireland squad for their upcoming international games, which, you know, if it is just a minor thing and he's doing it so he can rest, that's great.
Aye.
For us. If it's
Absolutely
not a minor thing and it's an issue, then that's an issue. But
pretty much, aye.
We pray that it's the former and not the latter, and that he's absolutely fine for Rangers.
Definitely, man. So a speedy recovery to Michael Smith there. What was the other piece of news we had? So Hearts have launched an official complaint to the SFA concerning the lockout of away fans for the Old Firm. Obviously, as we know, we now go into the international break just now, but our first game back afterwards is a trip to Glasgow when we play Rangers at Ibrox. I'll have a wee say on this. In a nutshell, I think it's absolutely ridiculous. Like every club in Scotland, apart from those two, are allowing like away fans to come to the games, etc. And you know, as much as you made this like the teams that you're actually to playing like against, it adds like sort of to the atmosphere, like, you know, at the end. And I just think it is an absolute shambles to do. Really is.
Yeah, I mean, the kind of official line that Celtic and Rangers said at the start of the season was that because of the COVID red zones that stadiums are needing to have, like at Tynecastle, obviously they have the sections around the dugouts, you know, where Hearts season ticket holders were, but they've been moved around to facilitate those places being blank. And that's what Celtic and Rangers kind of put it down to. They said, you know, we need to accommodate red zones so that we can move our affected season ticket holders into other areas, which in theory makes sense. I don't have a problem with that, but the size of their stadium, are you telling me they can't find a place for away supporters to go?
Absolutely
and
not.
Then you add to that Celtic played Leverkusen at Parkhead and there were German fans in Parkhead. So
exactly, it doesn't. It kind of defies the logic as such that if you're going to have red zones in the stadiums and you can accommodate fans that are in the same country, and yet you're going to allow other countries, other fans from different parts of the world to come into Scotland, into the stadium as well.
It's just petty. It's petty nonsense from them.
I'll say, first and foremost, I am definitely not the bright spark, but I know that that's not fucking. That's just absolutely just stupid as fuck. Like you know what I mean? You know?
Yeah, and it doesn't make any sense. But I mean, at the end of the day, you know, they made that decision to say that they're not allowing away fans in. Hopefully, the appeal or the formal complaint will lead to something. Um, Funnily enough, Hibs were voicing some concerns about the fact that they wouldn't have fans at Ibrox, but they suddenly went a bit quieter in the build up to the game against Rangers at Ibrox just on the weekend there, because they had a beamback event. Basically, they screened the game at Easter Road on their big fancy new screens, and honestly,
I know what you're gonna say.
I don't know if you've seen that. I don't know if you've seen the videos, but it just looks it looks so cringy. Like,
I know.
They've got fans in the stand watching a big screen, and I'm like, okay, I mean, obviously I'm biased, I'm a Hearts man, but do like what Hearts do, the Gorgie Live thing, in a hospitality suite in the stadium. They've got fans sitting in a stand watching a screen. I'm like, what? And then apparently the screen cut out during the game as well, which I think is absolutely hilarious.
That's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
Obviously, Hibs didn't take issue with there not being allowed any fans in Ibrox because big Ron Gordon realised he could milk his supporters for a few extra pounds to have them in Easter Road instead. But
possibly,
Motherwell and Hearts are obviously looking at this going, well, hang on, we could do with the away support. It would be nice,
Absolutely, man.
Especially because obviously the game at Ibrox will be a top of the table clash, so it'd be quite nice to have some away supporters there to generate a bit of an atmosphere.
It will be, yeah, but I think if it doesn't go anywhere, I would say to Hearts, look, if they're not going to allow our fans in to the stadium, then just do it right back. I would be happy just to have a full stadium of just Hearts fans. I'd be all right with that.
Yeah, definitely, and I think that's something that they should do. I can understand there are some teams that wouldn't be in favour of that because they pretty much give their entire stadiums to Celtic and Rangers when they visit. But we should be cutting their allocations. We should be cutting Celtic's allocations, Rangers and Hibs. I would say. We saw the first game of the season at Tynecastle against Celtic. No Celtic fans made a difference, so, but it is what it is. But hopefully, as I say, the complaint will hopefully be read and listened to. But knowing the SFA and the SPFL, it'll probably just be put straight in the bin and we'll be told to just get on with it. But who knows?
That's fair, man. That's fair. Well, also just to keep on track of the SFA as well, we won't go too much into depth about it, but we'll probably do a bit more in a future at the podcast. But this Friday coming, the SFA is going to meet the representatives that do the VAR, with the possibility of VAR being introduced into Scotland by 2023. And of course, like I said, we will sort of talk a lot more about it in a future podcast, because they're going to actually meet on Friday, so we don't know very much about it. But what was your thoughts sort of as soon as you heard about the possibility of the VAR, sort of was it the potentially coming into the Scottish game? Because me personally, I was quite happy with the fact that we don't have it. I kind of think that in general, it kind of takes away the dramatic nature of the actual game itself. And I think, you're of course going to have decisions that's not going to go your way. And in turn as well, you're going to have the decisions that do sort of go your way as well. I just kind of think to wait for 5 the minutes to see if someone's going to get a red card, if a goal has actually sort of went in as well. I think it's going to take away a massive part of what the Scottish game is, and you just kind of have to look at what the VAR has done throughout the Premiership down south. And I think from my perspective, it's done it's got a lot of negatives as opposed to the positive outlook.
Yeah, I can't really add much more than that, to be honest. I think I read Andrew McKinley, the Hearts CEO, saying that, you know, Scottish football risks being sort of left in the dark ages if we don't at least embrace it. And I do agree with that in some ways, because obviously, you know, if we want to be taken seriously, which we should.
Yeah, of course. Aye.
You know, VAR is something that a majority of countries have now. We still don't have it. Don't get me wrong, I'm happy that we don't have it. But I think, like you say, the issue that I have with it is that our referees in this country are garbage at the best of times. So you're giving them technology that they're still going to be responsible for it, you know. So it's, instead of one inept official making a decision, it's going to be one inept official, some linesman, and a guy behind the screen. So it's a difficult one. There's pros and cons to it. I think it'll come in eventually. To be honest, I think it will. And I think it needs to, whether we like it or not. I think it needs to. But yeah, it's got to be done the right way, and we have to learn. If it's going to come in, we have to learn from how they're using it in England and say, right, you know, how do they do it? Okay, we could do this. We could, you know, learn these lessons, because at the Euros in the summer, they used it there, and there was very few like controversial moments because it was used properly. But yeah, I mean, you're giving referees technology, and now I laugh because even at the game on Saturday, the referee didn't even know how to use the vanishing spray for a free kick.
Oh Christ Almighty!
So he was spraying it all over the shop. So you know, you're trusting these referees, who are part-time, by the way. They're not even full-time officials. Yeah. You're giving them a massive amount of responsibility. But look, I think it's one of those situations. It'll come in eventually, whether we like it or not. But look forward to games lasting 3 hours instead of an hour and a half.
Wonderful, canny way. So yes, as I said, like sort of at the start, like, you know, we will do a bit more in depth about the VAR in a future podcast, whether that be next week or the week after, in the lead up to the Rangers game. We'll throw that in there once we have a bit more info, and once we had the meeting on Friday with the SFA. So that kind of wraps up our news segment. As always, thank you very much, Alan. So we move into the main topic from the game on Saturday, HMFC versus MFC, Hearts versus Motherwell, which ended in a 2-0 victory to Hearts at Tynecastle. And, you know, it was one, like, you know, like of course we will talk about it, like, as well. Like, of course, you were over the moon for the reasons of, like, you know, as well, like, you know, as we mentioned at the start. But I was delighted at the fact that I fucking got 7 points on the fucking predictions board. Like, I was so happy that has changed dramatically, and I'm going to be sitting pretty for the next few weeks, just looking at that scoreboard, thinking, oh, no forfeit for me, son. No forfeit for me.
Yeah. I think I'll just take the punishment now, shall I? I'll just start the forfeit.
Oh, you will. Oh, you will. Or it can all change, mate. It can all change. Don't worry. So yeah, we'll go into the game. Like you said, Alan, you were at the game. I only managed to watch the first half because my 100% legit stream, like, I'll just was it at, like, you know, was it to put that out there, like, of course I don't steal, stopped literally after halftime, so I wasn't able to catch the second half, but I of course did watch Sports Scene and the highlights as well. So the second half might be your sort of was it at the bit, mate. But yeah, we had an unchanged lineup from the week before. Again, just to remind everybody, we had the Gordon in goal. It was Smith, Moore, Halkett, Kingsley, and Cochrane. We had the Benny, the Devlin in the centre, and then up front we had Woodburn, Boyce, Mackay.
That was it.
And that was it. There you go.
There's 11.
Do my research. I 1, 2, 3. I do my the research, mate. It's all good there.
Professional as always.
Of course, mate. Like, of course. So I be for the game, mate. Like, of course, you had anger and redemption, like just built up in your stomach, of course. But were you quite happy at the fact that we didn't change the lineup? And and at the same time as well, were you all sort of confident? Were you slightly nervous as well, or what?
Well, I'll say from the start, my prediction was it would be a 1-1 draw. I expected a lot more from Motherwell, to be quite honest. But when I saw the lineup, it was one of those. I was walking to the ground and I saw that Suter wasn't starting. And I thought, okay, that's strange. And then there was obviously during the week as well, Robbie Nielsen said in his media duties that there might be some rotation because the players that aren't playing are good enough to play, and they're pushing to be involved. So I was expecting there to be some changes, to be honest. I was expecting maybe, I think Benny and Devlin in the middle is set.
Oh, it's a match made in heaven. Like, seriously.
Yeah, but I was probably expecting maybe Gary Mackay-Steven to come back in, or maybe even Halliday at left back, or I was expecting a few little changes here and there. But when I saw that there was no changes, I thought, yeah, it makes sense. We played very well the week before, and if you're playing well and you're winning, why would you change it? So
why would you?
Yeah. So, but then on the Suter situation, somebody highlighted it to me because I wasn't aware. They said that at a shareholders' dinner, Joe Savage mentioned that he had a tight thigh, and he only went back to training on the Thursday. So
fair enough.
For the Thursday, Friday, and then obviously the game on the Saturday, it's not exactly a lot of time to turn around for him. So, but they're confident he'll be ready to go for Rangers, which is great. And obviously, with an international break now, it's kind of the perfect time to have an injury. I know that sounds a bit stupid, but
no, I get you though.
Yeah, like we were saying about Michael Smith as well. Like it's not a bad time to be injured if you're going to be a minor injury and you're back. You've got 2 weeks to rest it. So no, I was confident. I was confident when I saw the lineup, to be honest.
Yeah, and like you're just sort of saying there, was it Ed mentioning Suter, like in Smith, it just shows how night and day the squad is compared to last year. The amount of depth we've got and the way that the team has been throughout the last 8 games, they're just so fluid, they're just so settled, and I don't want to really make this kind of come at the comparison, but it's the one that I can to think of. So, the Rangers last year, they were on fire, and a key to that was again to the amount of the depth that they had in their squad. When somebody dropped out, that there was somebody there that knows what job they're meant to actually do and do the exact same thing. And I kind of compare that to how Hearts are right now, is that, for the example that we've had throughout the last, sort of the 2 games, was Scooter's been out for 2 games, right? Absolutely sound. Was the Taylor Moore's in there, who I will say throughout the last 2 games since he's been in the centre-back role has been absolutely fantastic as well. Again, for example, if was it the Woodburn was to drop out, you've got Gino there, you've got Danny Mackay-Steven there. If Devlin drops out, you've got Haring there. Like it goes on, and it just shows the leaps and the bounds that we've actually came on to this season. I mean, just to quote, like I read it earlier on by was it the Barry Anderson of the Evening News that a fan declared that they thought it was the best Hearts side since George was at the Burley's reign, and I'm pretty in agreed with that. Would you say so as well?
I think so. I think like you say, the thing about it is having the quality behind the quality.
Yeah.
And that makes a massive difference. And it means that the players that are playing will give 100% when they're training, because they'll know.
Yeah.
Like I mean, I can't remember if it was Benny or Cammy Devlin that said it, but they were talking about it and they said, the players that are behind us are as good as us.
Yeah.
If not better. Like, you've got Peter Haring sitting on the bench, and I'll talk about him later on. But yeah, it makes you. It will make the players that are starting drive to stay in the team, and obviously that can only be positive for results on the park as well.
Yeah,
but yeah, it's
man.
nice to have. It's nice to have. We've got quite a small squad, but it's a complete squad. I think there are still maybe one or two areas that I'm a bit don't really know, but
fair enough.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing, just before we actually dive into the game itself, the biggest thing for me was that in the last game and then the Motherwell game, we didn't look like we missed John Souttar.
Yeah, but I'm going to take that as like a positive thing, because it just shows the fact that because Robbie didn't change the side, like, I'm not going to cry about it if Souttar's not in the squad, because for I mean, the only sort of role that I would think necessarily is safe is probably the Gordon, and I think if you're going to play well every single game, who's to say that you'll get dropped just because of the name, like as such, you know what I mean? And I think we're in a good at the place right now, so I'm not gonna complain one bit. But so we get into the game, and the action only took 3 minutes, 3 fucking minutes. Where I think it was Barry Mackay that was at to play the ball through to the boys. I don't know what the keeper was fucking doing, honestly, but at the same time, when I watched it back again, the boys knew exactly what he was doing, because that ball, even if the Kelly hadn't touched him, the boys was going at such a speed that even if he did get to it first, it most likely would have went out, the goal kick. He knew exactly what he was doing, and by God, did he fucking do it well, honestly.
It was nice play in the build up to it.
It was, yeah.
Benny had the ball, played it into Barry Mackay, and the wee pass around the corner.
Yeah.
It's all that, that link up, that kind of communication, and just knowing where each other's going to be. And like you said, Boyce knew exactly what he was doing. He knew exactly what he was doing, but it was the experience and the intelligence to then get there, because the ball was kind of far in front of him from Barry Mackay. It was kind of played into space, and Boyce had to make the space up to get there, which, I mean, Boyce is capable of that. Like in little short bursts, he can get there. He's not the fastest, but over short distances, he can get there.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And Liam Kelly, I have no idea. Like, I don't know what was going through his mind, because even if he doesn't go down and try and win it, Boyce is going nowhere.
No, exactly.
There's no danger there. There's no danger there. But yeah, it was very nice to see Boyce doing that. And where I was sat in the Wheatfield stand, I was pretty much right in line with it. So it was a lovely view, watching Boyce take a wee tumble, but under pressure to take a tumble. It wasn't a dive. It was there was a perfectly legitimate touch there. And then he stepped up, take the penalty. I was that confident I didn't even watch.
Oh well, mate. Like you've said plenty of times, man. Plenty of times. He's got to put aside the second, like sort of the penalty, which we will talk about as well. Whenever he sends it, either left or right, he's got this skill that he can always send the keeper the wrong way, and like because I think most of his was at the penalties. Like he's done that, and it's such a skill, and it's so nice to actually watch as well. And that puts him up to 10 goals for the season, and it's the first time it's the first time in a long time that I've actually seen a Hearts striker on the top goal scorers list, joint top with Boyle, I think it is. But it's nice to see. Like it's nice to see.
Yeah, he's flying right now. And just quickly on his penalties, obviously the second one we'll talk about after, but he's got this amazing ability to just find the corners of the net. Yeah. So like even if the goalkeeper does go the right way, 9 times out of 10 it's going in anyway. But yeah, no, it was nice to silence the Motherwell supporters nice and early. And yeah, I really enjoyed it. Boise enjoyed it too, and all the rest of the boys enjoyed it. They all jumped all over him. So
absolutely,
yeah, it's like we always say about Boise. When he gets the ball for a penalty, there's an inevitability that he's going to score.
Absolutely, yeah. no doubt. But so yeah, I thought from there on, throughout like sort of the first half, I thought we kept Motherwell relatively quiet, if I'm honest. Like for the first half, I thought the centre backs did quite a good job of keeping Tony Watt like sort of was quiet as well, because of course like he's actually found form throughout the fucking years of clubs that he's been at. Where was he like sort of when he played for Hearts? Like where was that form? Fucking hell.
I know.
One thing that did like sort of kind of was it the pop out at me, like again, it's just something that I've not seen from Hearts in a long time. But one sort of the difference that I am seeing now more of is that when we don't have it, we are constantly pressing and pressurizing teams to get it back, and that's what I love to see, is that passion, that aggression to get the ball back. And it's great to see. And like I said before, it's a nice all-round team. The system in general, I think, is great, and something as well that we don't do all that much as well. You've got to give credit to Robbie as well. For all as much as he got so much flack throughout last season, and was it quite like sort of rightly so as well. But you can't deny the fact that he has done a great job so far, and yeah, I'm pretty much all round happy about that. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. The way that they win the ball back, and it's just so nice to see. And like when I saw the Motherwell lineup, just briefly touching on them, the midfield, they played a 4-3-3, and their midfield was Grimshaw, Slattery, and O'Hara. 3 good players, Yeah. Slattery, I think Slattery's on loan from Southampton. I could be wrong. They might have got him on a permanent, but I think it's a loan. Grimshaw looks a little player, and O'Hara's got quality as well. So I thought, like when I saw the lineups of both teams, I kind of thought, right, Benny and Devlin, that's 2 against that 3. That's going to be key, where it's going to be, we're going to have to win that. And we did. Benny and Devlin, just, I think we're going to have to make a weekly segment of just gushing over Benny and Devlin, because...
Dude, and I cannot believe the words are actually coming out of my mouth. I'm pretty sure I'm going to jump on to the same ship as our friends at the Perfect to Paisley podcast, Daniel McIver's ship, and say that I'm in love with that man. Seriously, I would love to start some sort of was it the group, or some sort of was it the podcast. The man I want to marry Cammy Devlin. Like,
Well, I mean,
seriously, you know?
If we have to change our name, we can always just change our name to the Cammy Devlin Appreciation Podcast.
Oh, the Motherwell fans would love that. But anyhow, yeah, like, I mean, what, like you were saying there, like, I mean, Devlin and was it Ed the Benny as well, like, they won the ball back so much, and as a team, we frustrated the hell out of them, but to the point where the challenges they were making was so clumsy and reckless as well. And I believe Motherwell got 2 yellow cards in the first 15. I'm pretty sure.
It was either something like that. It was
was
maybe first 20, something like that. But they got
still,
2
like, you know what I mean?
early.
Yeah. You know?
It's just even like watching the game. Motherwell, when they managed to get the ball back, they were hurrying to try and move it and try and get it out because they knew that we were going to be on them trying to win it back. And they made so many slack passes, Motherwell. We forced them to play it too quickly. And yeah, it was really, really nice to see. I have to say as well, Ben Woodburn was dropping back into midfield every now and again as well. Barry Mackay was snapping in for tackles, trying to win the ball. It's just amazing. That intensity was brilliant. And I mean, it's one of those, I'll talk about it when we go further into the analysis of the game, but it was just so impressive, and
it was
everybody's bought into it. I think that's what's amazing.
Yeah,
like
definitely.
Yeah, it was great. It was great. A great start. Brilliant to get a goal as early as we did. Totally flattened Motherwell in any momentum that they thought they might have had. But yeah, and then obviously the second goal, 20 minutes in, it was kind of the real sort of second main chance of the game.
Yeah.
Benny again involved. I really enjoyed Benny's performance. Honestly, it was almost like he'd seen Cammy Devlin win man of the match last week and went, right, you've taken that off me. I'll have it back now.
Absolutely, yeah. But no, it's great to see. Absolutely.
Yeah, and I mean the build up for the free kick that we scored from. Benny was edge of the box.
Such quick feet, like ridiculous.
Again, it's that intelligence again, and it's funny. Me and several others in the section that I was sitting in were shouting for him to have a shot because I thought, you know what, it's opened up for him. I want him to score a goal.
Yeah, no, of course.
And then the Motherwell boy, I can't remember. It might have even been Grimshaw. I don't actually know. Oh no, it wasn't. It was, what's his name? Oh, God, I've totally forgotten his name. It's like Ojama or something, the Motherwell defender.
Yeah. I think you're right.
Puts a leg out, or whoever it was. Anyway, some irrelevant Motherwell player puts a leg out. Benny goes over, and yeah, it was one of those. When it's funny because obviously Kingsley's got this ability, and we've seen it now a few times. But Ben Woodburn was standing over the free kick, and in my head, I'm thinking Ben Woodburn's going to hit this. Ben Woodburn's hitting this, and I really want Ben Woodburn to score a goal. I want him to get one.
Yeah, mate, like you and me, like, sort of talked about it like a few days ago. Like, you know, you've mentioned it again to was it I mentioned the as in my story podcast as well. He's been brilliant since he came in, but he is one goal away from just being on fire. Like, you just know that he's itching just to get that first goal, and I think he'll be a force of nature. Honestly, I think he will be.
I watched him very closely during the game, and some of the positions he was taking up, he was getting the ball, he was trying passes that, you know, if it sounds, you know, a bit stupid to say it, but if our players had played, if we had other players that have played at the levels of Ben Woodburn, you know, they'd be able to see those runs and get in and link up, and his footballing brain is on another level. But I think what he needs to do a little bit more is just do the simple things, you know, realise that Scottish football, Scottish Premiership is not the English Premier League. You don't have to try the best passes, you know. But yeah, he had a really good game, I thought, despite what the person behind me said, that they thought he was absolute garbage. I really like Ben Woodburn. I really do. And I think we're very fortunate to have him. But equally, I'm very happy that Stephen Kingsley took the free kick instead of Ben Woodburn.
Yeah. Again, like, I mean, when I watched it back again, I don't know. I think initially, when the free kick was hit, I think was Kelly initially moved to the left, thinking it was going to go across the wall, but then like straight out of nowhere, just went into that was it the right side, and again it just I'm kind of getting with was it Kingsley's free kicks. I'm kind of slowly getting into the routine as the same as when was it the boy steps up to was but to take a penalty. I'm just like fucking that'll do.
Yeah, it was a brilliant take. Yes, the goalkeeper moves to the other side of the goal. I don't know why he's moved. I don't know why he stepped over. Maybe had Kingsley to score on his coupon. I don't know, but it was one of those. If he'd stayed where he was and he hadn't taken a step to the other side, he probably would have saved it.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
Yeah, Kingsley's got this ability to at least test goalkeepers from free kicks, and it is great. It's great to have that. It's a great weapon to have. But as soon as he hit it, I knew it was in. It was one of those. As soon as he hit it, back of the net. Really, really good finish. Just kind of put a cap on the first 20 minutes that we'd absolutely strolled through. And although it was a penalty and a free kick, we deserved to be ahead. At that point, so it wasn't
100%.
It wasn't as if we'd taken advantage of the chances, and we won a penalty and we scored a free kick. But you've got to score goals. It doesn't matter how they go in; you've just got to get them. And
don't give a fuck, huh?
No, exactly. Absolutely. I couldn't give less of a fuck. But
I wonder why.
It was very nice. It was very nice. And Stephen Kingsley then runs over to the touchline in celebration, and all of the players run after him, and they have a big group hug on the sideline with Robbie. And I think even Lee McCulloch was in there, and I think Stephen Naismith was in there as well. So it was a nice moment to see them all kind of celebrating with each other.
Definitely, man. So yeah, I mean, in terms of chances throughout the rest of the first half, I know that Woodburn again, he had a great shot on target, which Liam Kelly's just kind of tipped sort of across the bar. Again, he's getting closer and closer to that sort of at the first goal. But again, I really do think that once he does get that first goal in, then I think the confidence levels of will just go sky high. And so yeah, hopefully he'll get his the first goal soon. And then just some wee sort of points from that. Devlin was even booked as well, so just before halftime as well. That wee rascal, honestly. And the only sort of chance that I thought Motherwell actually had again was just right before halftime as well, where again it was Tony Watt. He kind of takes it on his knee onto a volley, to then sort of protest them. Was it Gordon? But again, I don't think Gordon, in general, I don't think for the whole game, I don't think Gordon had a lot to actually do. Yeah, they had a few sort of chances, but again, I thought it was a reasonably easy day at the office for him as well.
Yeah, I would agree. I think just before the chance that you're talking about, they had another one, and it was Woolery, their winger. Again, though, it was a big long ball, route one. Because we made them play route one football because we were dominating the midfield, which is where they wanted to play. But we forced them to go long constantly to their big Dutch centre forward, the number 9, Van Veen, I think his name is. And just on that juncture, one of the funniest moments of the game in the first 10 minutes, Van Veen is 6 foot plus. Now, I've said the height of Cammy Devlin multiple times on this podcast. In the first 10 minutes, Cammy Devlin beats him to a header. And I'm just thinking, this is going to be a good day.
When you're playing against that man, even if you're 10 foot, height does not come into it, mate. The man will jump leaps and bounds over any player that he's up against. And honestly, like, I just want to adopt him, and I will do anything for him. I will literally do anything for that man.
The Motherwell, briefly before we move on, the Motherwell chance just before the end of the first half, the corner. So the shot was the Tony Watt shot that was tipped over the bar by Gordon. The corner comes in. I think there's a shot or a header. And Gordon
it was a header,
gets to it. Yeah, Gordon gets it. It was Gordon gets down to it. I have no idea how the big Motherwell player doesn't score. It's Mugabe, the centre back, number 5, who I was actually very impressed with, by the way. For Fair them, enough. I thought he did very well. Without him, the first half could have been 3 or 4 easily. He was getting toes on everything and intercepting when we were trying to play balls in. But yeah, the corner comes in, it's deflected into his path, and he gets a header at, and he puts it straight at Gordon. Gordon's sitting on the floor. And he just catches it. He just casually just catches it. And I'm like, anywhere else, that's a goal. That was a huge let off. But obviously delighted that Motherwell didn't score and went in 2-0 up at half time.
Yeah, once the first half was done, literally, this is how arrogant I'm getting as a Hearts fan right now. I genuinely thought the game was done, unless Motherwell came back with a totally different strategy. Then I genuinely thought, the actual sort of big game was done. So we went into the second half. Of course, I'm going to be relatively quiet on this sort of section, mate. But just before we do get into it, because there was a quick something that I did want to actually ask you as well. Now, yes, it's only 8 games in, absolutely, and there's 38 games in a season, or is it 39? Along those lines or something.
Too much maths for me. Too much maths.
Right.
There's lots of games.
Right. Now, again, it's just a quote. Was it the Barry Anderson again from his article on the Evening News? Are Hearts fans getting carried away with the prospect of splitting the Old Firm? And just to quote again, a Hearts fan said, I'm not getting carried away, but who do we fancy in our Champions League group stage? Is it too much to stretch out into the imagination that we could actually do it? Because again, I know that there's a certain vibe right now because we've had such a good start, but with the teams that we've played against, and of course, teams like Celtic, Aberdeen, even Rangers to a certain extent, they've not really gotten out of first gear yet. I don't feel as if they're half as good as what they actually were last year. So is it too much to dream big right now, or do you feel as if we've got to kind of come back down to the reality a bit? Or
I'm somewhere in the middle. As
ever,
I'll sit on the fence.
I wanted a good answer saying yes. We're going to split the Old Firm. We're going to win the league, Champions League. We're going to join the European Super League next year. That's what we're going to do.
We're not going to split the Old Firm. We're going to finish above both of them, mate.
That's what I like to hear. That's what
to be realistic, it's been an amazing start. They've done incredibly well. You said there that Rangers haven't got out of first gear yet. Celtic have looked totally bizarre.
Aye.
Yeah. Aye. Motherwell's greatest ever start to a Premier League season has been ended at the hands of Hearts on the weekend. I don't know if that's actually statistically accurate, but the way they were going on made it sound like it was.
No. I'm pretty sure they said on Sports Scene that it was the best start they had in about 20 odd years or something. But unfortunately,
aye. They can go away back home singing a song. It's fine. So we put them in their place. That's fine. And I think the biggest thing for me that has really impressed me so far about Hearts is that the games recently, in particular, like against Livingston, we blew them away. But we looked like we could play better than that.
That's my was it at the point as well? That's my point, because
And obviously, I was at the Motherwell game, and the first half we blew them away. Obviously, playing that way, and this is something I was going to mention further on, but playing the way that we do with the intensity that we did in that first half, it was the same against Livingston. It's impossible to keep that going for 90 minutes. You cannot play with that intensity for 90 minutes. But what impressed me so much about Livingston and then to the game against Motherwell was the way that we managed it. The way that game was managed, particularly the second half, shows that we've got a team that they're smart. They're smart players in this team, and they know what they have to do. I'm not saying for 1 minute that we're going to go on and challenge for a title, because that's, dreaming massive. Don't get me wrong, I'd absolutely love it if we did. Don't get me wrong. But
dream big, son. Dream big. There's nothing wrong with that.
It's one of these things. I think the next thing that I'll say is not something I want to say, and I don't want it to happen. But
all right, hold on. I'll take these off.
I want to see how this team responds to when we lose. And
don't say that.
But this is the thing. This is the character. It's a character thing. Right now, we don't look like losing. We don't. But when we do, because we're not going to anyway, because we're going to go undefeated and win the league and be in the Champions League next year, as you say. But when we do lose a game, we're going to see the real character of this team, and I think that's going to be massive. But it's been a very good start. A start that nobody would have expected us to start like this. Nope. We said in our preview podcast about the season, the first 5 or 6 games were very, very tough, and that Robbie would have to be on his game, or he would have been in serious danger of losing his job. And we've come through it. 8 games, undefeated, only team in the top flight of Scottish football to remain undefeated after Hibs losing to Rangers. It's a nice place to be. It's a nice place to be, considering where we were 18 months ago.
So pretty much, once you've said all that, you've still not answered the actual was it the question, but it's all right.
We're winning the league. We're winning the league, and when we're
thank you.
This time next year, Cammy Devlin, Champions League winner. There you go.
There you go, son. Thank you very much. So as we move on, again, as I said before, the only thing that I will be talking about will be the second was it the penalty, because that's the only part I saw in the highlights. So Alan, do you want to take it through into the second half, my man?
Yeah, the second half started in a similar way to the first. We kind of, we were taking over quite well and moving the ball about again, but you could see that Motherwell had obviously had words at halftime. They didn't make any substitutions at halftime, I don't think, off the top of my head. But they'd obviously been told that what they put out in the first half wasn't good enough. But, it was more of the same for us, moving the ball about, stretching them, trying to get in at them. But it was considerably slower than the first half had been, because the players were.
Well, that's no, exactly.
But yeah, the first, it's funny because the first real kind of moment in the second half was the second penalty.
There you go. Yes, my time to shine again. Here we go. From what I remember, it was Benny that kind of led it into the box, and he kind of dragged it back on his right foot, where Cammy Devlin almost stole it from him, said "thank you very much," and then he got again. I can't mind the Motherwell defender's name again. Irrelevant, but I I don't want to say it was a soft penalty, but I've seen ones like that not being given. But mate, I do not give a flying fuck, because what made it all the better as well, like, you know, after the Motherwell players went mental, like was it the one of them were like banging against the ground and Kelly like hands flying about, and then there's Cammy Devlin struggling at it's all right. Go back, it's all right.
It was brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
Stitches.
Absolutely brilliant. It's one of those, like you're saying, it was a soft penalty. It absolutely was a soft penalty. I think any other player other than Cammy Devlin doesn't go down there. I think because Cammy Devlin's a little guy, you know, he gets pushed over, and there was enough contact. He doesn't dive, you know. It wasn't. But he didn't win the penalty. It was just a very soft one to get.
Again, do not give a fuck. Not give a fuck.
Couldn't care less.
And in that exact sort of, was it at the moment, like I was probably the only Hearts fan that was shiting himself as I say, do not ruin my fucking prediction, please. I need the point, please. but yeah, again, I thought the penalty itself, I didn't think it was a bad shot from, was it the boys, but again, like, I mean, even the reaction from the Hearts fans as such when he missed, it wasn't like fucking like, it was almost just like silence, but in a way that it's like, all right, okay, cool, that's fine. Like, you know what I mean? Like it wasn't like oh my god, that's a fucking crap miss, that's this, that's that. It was like, oh well, like, you know.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that. I think it wasn't one of Boyce's best penalties. It was a good height. It was a good height for the goalkeeper to get to. Quite a relatively easy save for him. But the reaction around the stadium was one of, so he has missed. Okay, you know, like, we're not used to that.
Yeah.
But I will say that we spoke about VAR at the start of this.
I know exactly where you're going with this, but yes, please continue.
Liam Kelly, when he goes to save it, is about 2 yards off his line. So I don't know what the linesman's doing, but that should have been retaken. It should have been.
100%, because it was actually, like, again, I think this is about the third time that I've agreed with Michael Stewart, like, crazily lagging off, like, on sports scene, like he said, it should have been retaken. And then I'm like, absolutely, Michael, you're absolutely right. And I'm like, what the fuck just happened there?
It's weird hearing Michael Stewart be positive about Hearts. Like, I'm so used to Michael Stewart like slaughtering Levine and talking about how rubbish we are and that we're not as good as we could be.
But again,
it's nice to be positive.
No, true. But again, he kind of reined it in again, because I'm pretty sure, I mean, you two would probably get on like a house on fire, because literally as soon as when the question was asked, like, could Hearts potentially split the Old Firm, he literally straight away went, whoa, let's not get fucking carried away here. Like, I'm like, oh, for fuck's sake, no, he's back. But yeah, again, after the penalty, for the parts that I saw, I thought Motherwell probably had a lot more chances, and they did look a bit more compact in the second half. Would you agree with that, mate? And was there any sort of danger that there was a thought in the back of your mind that they could get back into it?
I think they got a big lift from the missed penalty, because they were staring 3-0 in the face. Yeah. And at 3-0, it would have been game over. Like, if it wasn't already, it would have been, if that penalty goes in. But yeah, they got a lift when the penalty was saved. They started to kind of control it a little bit more. They were finding passes a little bit more. But again, it goes back to what I was saying about the intensity that we play with. You know, we dropped off because we were tiring, and you could see it. Like, as I said at the start, Michael Smith stretched and pulled something, so he was hobbling a little bit. Even Cammy Devlin kind of slowed down a little bit. Benny as well. Like, I think it's natural, you know. So Motherwell did take advantage of that. They had a few moments. There was one. I think the main one was their winger, that Woolery again. Made Gordon make a good save, 1-on-1. Gordon sort of got down on the angle and tipped it wide.
Standard as fuck. Honestly, that I'm not even I'm not like shocked by that. I'm just like, oh right, okay. Save now.
I think as well though, what helped Motherwell kind of grow into the game was Halkett getting injured and going off. Because he was fantastic the first half. He was winning. He was winning headers in the air. He was commanding that defence when it was needed. And when he went off, we had a bit of a reshuffle because your man Andy Halliday came on, went to left back, and they put Stephen Kingsley into the centre of the back three and shifted Alex Cochrane into the left side of the back three. And Kingsley is a good central defender. He's not fantastic, but he does a job. He does a job. But in the centre of a three, it didn't suit him. It didn't really work. But he did a job. And he was solid. But I have to say, Halliday for me was targeted. I
knew you were going to bring this up.
He was targeted by Motherwell. They did target that side, and Tony Watt was running down there as well, and Woolery, the other winger. It was a difficult day for Andy Halliday, but you know, in the end, it didn't make a difference. But it certainly contributed to the fact that Motherwell did start to grow into the game a bit.
Well, mate, I didn't see any of the second half, so from my point of view, he had a fucking top game. So we're all right there. But yeah, again, just speaking of substitutions as well, you're saying that we had a bit of a trouble as well. Like you said, we brought Halliday on, and just to kind of put a bit of extra support as well in that sense, we brought on Haring as well. I'm right in saying as well, just from the things that I've read as well, that he had a pretty decent game as well.
Yeah, he did. Before that, we actually, with 20 minutes to go, we brought Gary Mackay-Steven on for Woodburn. So that was the second substitution, and the Haring one was the last one.
Get you.
Gary Mackay-Steven did very well, and he was, and it's one of those games that the guy behind me wanted us to bring on Gino for Woodburn, but
who was this guy? Who was this guy? Was they saying like, oh, was it
honestly
Woodburn shite, Gary Mackay-Steven on?
Honestly,
since I was young, Motherwell song. I fucking know.
It was actually like, it was quite interesting listening to him, because me in my head I'm thinking, all right, mate, like just
shut the fuck up.
Exactly. I'm like, mate, just calm down. Like, we're winning 2-0. The game's pretty much done, and he's wanting us to throw more attackers onto the pitch, and I'm like, mate, that's not what we need right now. Like, what game are you watching?
Yeah,
and I have to say, Gary Mackay-Steven came on and put in a shift. He put in a shift, which is all you can ask from substitutes. And yeah, it was a solid performance from him. Motherwell, though, they kept going, but it was one of those, every time they came forward, I was never, like, I was sitting in the stand and I was never thinking, oh God, they're going to score. You know, this is a chance. And as much as Motherwell improved in the second half, we just managed the game well. They had a few moments, but nothing really major. Then what I'll say in the lead up to the Haring substitution, Cammy Devlin for the last 25 minutes of the game pretty much walked around the park, clapping and encouraging his teammates and telling everyone to calm down, because every time we were getting the ball, we were doing what Motherwell were doing at the start. We were trying to force it and being too quick with the ball, and we were losing it and playing stupid passes and giving the ball back to Motherwell, basically.
Yeah.
And Cammy Devlin, he was brilliant. He was walking around the centre circle, basically, giving it calm down, just relax. And I'm sitting there and I'm going, that's perfect. That's what we need. And Peter
I
Haring,
love the. I got you as well saying, "Okay, Cammy, okay, I'm calm,
literally,
I'm calm."
it was great, and it was just nice to see. And then
Aye.
Peter Haring comes on with 10 minutes to go, and that substitution won us the game,
Yeah,
and it kept us the clean sheet. He came on for Barry Mackay, another one who had a good game.
yeah, absolutely. I agree with that.
It was one of those things, and I put a post up on Twitter about it that got a lot of positive response. And it was basically Peter Haring came into that game and did exactly what he needed to do.
Yeah,
He
and
came
that's
in.
what I love. Yeah,
Yeah, he came in. He took a lot of pressure off of Devlin, a lot of pressure off of Benny, and just basically said, right, we need to calm this down. Give me the ball, and I'll keep it. And he did.
Yeah.
Motherwell fouled him constantly because they needed to get the ball off him. It was just a perfect substitute appearance at a perfect time. And again, Robbie deserves credit for that as well.
Yeah. And mate, like we said at the start as well, and pretty much throughout as well, it's such a good team, isn't it? It's such a good team. I mean, mate, I would say it's such a good team that I would be relatively suspicious that we would have to get this team drug tested. I don't know if you've seen that clip of flying about on Twitter, but what the fuck?
To be fair, look, I mean, it's funny. I actually watched that Motherwell fans video that he put on YouTube, and it's actually quite good. To be fair, I'll give him some credit. As much as Motherwell fans gave me abuse last week, I'm not going to lower myself to that level.
No.
For a guy who
I know.
Yeah.
Sorry, mate. Sorry.
No.
Just to say, I'm not saying that, not to give them a platform, but I'm not saying for 1 second that one or two fans represent a full fan base, but it's just funny to see at times. And
I have to say the quote somebody needs to drug test this Hearts team, that if we win the league, is there any way we can get that written? Can we get that painted on the side of Tynecastle? Can we get that painted in the concourse somewhere?
I'm gonna get it tattooed right on my fucking mug. Seriously, I'll never forget it. Seriously, it was good. Was it Ed Patter? It was a good patter.
Oh, it was, and like I said, fair play for coming out with that. But yeah,
definitely.
The game was pretty much wrapped up by that point. We just kind of plodded along and ended up winning it fairly comfortably. It would have been nice to get another goal, but
it wouldn't have. No, it wouldn't have. Absolutely not.
For you,
absolutely not. Never.
My prediction was already in the mud after 20 minutes. So I was just enjoying myself.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. But yeah, on that note, I think that kind of round things off for the game itself. Obviously, of course, as most of you will know, we go into the international break for a few weeks, which is absolutely pish. But what can you do? Because Scotland are going to be playing Israel for about the 50th time in the last 2 years, so fucking not interested at all. So obviously for the next few weeks we will have the Rangers was it the preview in the build up to that, and we're gonna have to put our minds together as well for next week, and we'll have to bring you out of the box was the podcast for next week, but I'm sure that we will. But yeah, on that note, I think that kind of wraps things up for the 24th episode of the Since I Was Young podcast. So as always, guys, thank you very much for watching. It is always appreciated. If you do like what you see, and if you are a Hearts fan as well, please think about subscribing and smash that like button as well. It helps us out a lot, and as always, we do really appreciate it, guys. And also, if you want to get involved in any of the chat as well, on our social media as well, you can catch us at Facebook,
Twitter and Instagram, all at SIWY Pod. And if you want to get in contact with us through our email as well, it is on screen and in the description at sinceabasyoung1874@gmail.com. And if you want to get in contact with us also as well, you can do. Our Twitter links will be in the description, as well as my YouTube channel, What Ewan's Doing. And yeah, that wraps up another podcast for this week. So Alan, always a pleasure, sir, and I'm glad you got some sort of, was it the vengeance after all that shite. So I'm happy as Larry for you, mate.
Oh, me too, mate, me too. It was very, very nice and set me up very nicely for my Saturday evening.
Absolutely, sir, absolutely. So as always, guys, we will see you in the next one. You take care. Bye for now. We've got to stop this happy clapping fucking seriously.
We need to.
I am. Let's
Let's do it again.